Instagram. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know if this is your first time tuning in. I'd love to give you a shout out. Holla Moore, I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well as well. Thank you for tuning in. So I'm going to have to change my time on Fridays. Like Fridays seem to be very crazy for me these days. So it's hard to commit to a particular time. But thanks for joining. Hi, Everblast. Hi, Miss Thompson. Waiting for more of you to tune in from YouTube and Facebook. Juicy, hello from Texas. Hi, Holler for the first time, and Shegun from Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta too. Let me introduce myself. My name is 𝐂𝐻𝐸𝐻. I'm an immigration attorney, and I represent clients in all 50 states. We have an office in Atlanta and Florida, but we represent clients in all 50 states. I personally am located in the Atlanta office. Our number here is 407-995-6567. You can also send us a WhatsApp on 404-333-8751. Oh, wow, we have a lot of first timers. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to try and type and pin my phone number on Instagram just so that you guys can have that. And then for those of you who are on WhatsApp, on YouTube and Facebook, you should be able to see my number scrolling through the ticker. And then if you're tuning into this live after the live has been published, then you should be able to find my number in my profile picture. So if you're on Instagram and you see the pinned post, put a heart in the comment and let me know that you can see the pinned phone numbers. Okay, so today, guys, I want to talk about divorces, remarriages, and VAWA, and getting your green card through VAWA. So I know there are a lot of new people here today, so I want to talk about, what VAWA is, first of all, before I get into sort of the nuances and the requirements for that. G-Creams, okay, you can see it. Awesome. So first of all, as you guys may know or may not know, VAWA just essentially stands for Violence Against Women's Act. I know the name has women in it, but like I've said 100 times, this is not only for women. This is for men, and this is for women, this is for children, this is for parents. And it's probably about high time that they actually changed the name so that, people can know that they qualify for this, because a lot of men go through this stuff and they don't know they qualify until, maybe they listen to, myself or another attorney or somebody else tells them that they qualify for it. And, as far as our practice, we see both men, women, children, and parents. So today I'm specifically focusing on marriage. So I'm going to talk about marriage-based VAWA cases. So basically, VAWA is if you have a spouse that's extremely cruel to you and abusive, and they're a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, you could be eligible to file for a 10-year green card and get a 10-year green card, as well as your work permit, as well as a travel permit. Obviously, there are some different things that we need to know to determine your eligibility. But generally, even if you cross the border, even if you came in without inspection, even though you've overstayed your time, even though you've worked under the table, you're still eligible if you're eligible for VAWA. It doesn't stop you from getting your green card. One note I would mention about working under the table, obviously I'm a lawyer, I can't tell you to work under the table, but if you do or you did work under the table, you just want to make sure that you're not claiming in any documentation that you're a U.S. citizen. There are very few things that can that can be basically done if that is the case. So never say that you're a U.S. citizen on any of your documentation. I mean, there are exceptions to U visas, but a U visa works differently because, you have to be able to say, that you cooperated with law enforcement and this crime happened to you, and the law enforcement officer has to be able to certify you. So it's a little bit more complex, but if you're eligible for that, that would be the only exception if you ever claim full citizenship. Okay, so, and I can see your questions, so just keep them coming. I'll get to your questions in just a second. Let me just cover this real quick. So as I was saying, if you have a spouse that's extremely cruel, abusive, a lot of people ask me about divorce. Well, my spouse wants to divorce me. I'm terrified of getting divorced. I'm no longer going to be eligible for anything. This marriage, after everything I went through, the least, I could have gotten was a green card, blah, blah, blah. So the first answer is that divorce, like, don't allow a spouse threatening to divorce you be the reason why you stay in an extremely cruel marriage or an abusive marriage. Okay. So even if you're in a marriage and your spouse threatens to divorce you, whether he or she divorces you or you file a divorce, you're still eligible if you meet the requirements of a VAWA case. Okay. When eligibility stops is when you have been divorced for more than 2 years before you put in your application. The minute the 2-year mark hits, you're no longer eligible to file for VAWA if you never filed. So if you're one of those people that you're already divorced, you want to count from when your divorce was finalized. And you want to make sure that if you're eligible, that you submit your petition before your divorce anniversary hits the 2-year, because after it hits the 2-year anniversary, there's just nothing you can do about it. So that's number one with divorce. And then, other people ask about annulments. So generally, I always say to clients, an annulment, if we're able to show that an annulment was done, from a strategic standpoint, this is more from a strategic standpoint. From a strategic standpoint, if you are the VAWA victim, you shouldn't be petitioning for an annulment, because essentially you're saying that your marriage was not valid. Okay. I'm not a divorce lawyer, but I will tell you, just based on my limited knowledge in the states that I'm licensed in, that typically annulments are granted based on if you believe that your marriage wasn't valid because, 1, you didn't consummate the marriage, 2, you entered into the marriage fraudulently, or 3, there was some mental incapacitation entering into the marriage. So if you have a spouse threatening to annul the marriage, of course, if you can fight it and say, well, I'm not annulling this marriage because I know that we entered into this marriage legitimately. But if you didn't know, or you're coming to me live after you've already done it, that is not going to be the death sentence in your case. Okay? Because if we're able to show that that is part of your spouse's bullying tactics or abusive nature, that they did that intentionally because they wanted to reduce your chances of filing, for anything, then we can use that to show that the annulment was in fact done as an act of, extreme cruelty as well. Okay, so now that I've gotten out of annulments, let's talk about remarriage. So this is a question I get asked all the time from my current clients as well. As people who come for consultations, attorney, okay, I'm divorced, I've moved on with my life. I've met the love of my life. This is a wonderful marriage. This person is a U.S. citizen. I want to just remarry this new person, even though my VAWA case is pending, whatnot. There are two different thoughts I give clients. First is this: if you remarry while your VAWA case is pending, your VAWA will be denied because you're no longer eligible. Think of it like filing for a marriage-based green card or filing for an immigration petition, and you decide to travel outside of the United States without getting a travel's permit. So in that case, they'll basically say you've abandoned your application. That is the same way it applies with VAWA cases when you marry. And I'll touch on conditional green card for a second and how that's a bit different. So basically, you cannot remarry unless you are willing to forego your VAWA petition. So that's number one. Number two, if you're like, oh yeah, I'm willing to forego my VAWA petition, I've met this other person, I'm in love with them, they're going to file for me, whatever the case. From a strategic standpoint, and this is my personal opinion, obviously everybody's going to be different in how they do things. Here's how I look. I'm very protective over my clients. That's number one. And I don't want people to take my clients for granted or for advantage. So what I always tell people is, if you are going to be reliant on somebody else to get something, when you have an opportunity to get it yourself, which route would you take? As much as you can love somebody, for those of us who are married, we know that marriage is not easy. And really, you don't know a person until you get married. And we really don't know, for a lot of people, their first year of marriage is challenging. So you might be all in love, but then you end up marrying this person, and then you're back to square one. And the person is like, no, I'm not filing for you. Nope, I'm not showing up for your immigration. So if you have a strong VAWA case that's already pending, I always recommend leave your VAWA case. Leave your VAWA case so that it is very clear that you're not entering this relationship with this person because of a green card, that you're truly coming in on an equal level. And this is not something and a carrot that they could dangle, on you ever again. And this is just my personal opinion. Well, also from a strategic standpoint, this is what I would say to somebody. And then I've had many people come to me saying, my husband and I, we broke up, we separated, or my wife and I were separated. Now things are good. Now, they're like, they want to file for me and everything. Should I withdraw the VAWA application? Should they file for me? And I say to them, I mean, like, you can do whatever you want with your spouse, that's, you're entitled to that. However, I wouldn't recommend you withdraw your VAWA application. Again, whether or not you're in the same household with your spouse, or you've chosen not to leave, that does not affect you from getting a VAWA petition. But don't throw out something that makes you eligible, because somebody's sweet talking you, or has the gift of garb. I don't know if you guys ever heard that phrase, the gift of garb. Like, they know how to sweet talk you, and all of a sudden everything that you've planned, you're like, oh, I'm going to throw that out the door. This guy's in love with me. This woman is in love with me. So you always have to think clearly and from an objective standpoint. I know that it's difficult with emotions, but when you have things that are critical, like things that affects your life and your future, like your green card here in the United States, you should always think with your head. With your head is how you should always think, as opposed to, oh my gosh, he's changed or she's changed or whatever it is. And it doesn't mean that that person cannot change. I truly believe people can change. I truly believe people can have redemption. But while they're redeeming themselves and their redemption, you want to still get this stuff on your own, so that this is something that nobody can ever take away from you, or ever say that they did for you, and stuff like that. And of course, it will be kept anonymous and confidential by you and our firm. So I know I have a bunch of questions here. So let me try to get to some of them. On Facebook, this person asked, wow, my Facebook text is so small. Just hold on one second. Let me see what's going on. It's so small. It's so small. He says, can I file for citizenship and petition for a green card for my spouse simultaneously? The answer is, it depends. I don't know what your spouse's legal status is, but if you're filing for citizenship, it means that you're a green card holder, not a U.S. citizen. And what is going to be the determining factor is if your spouse is in status, your spouse is here in the United States already. That will determine what you can file and when you can file for that person. And then the same person asked, does it take more than a year to get U.S. citizenship? Honestly, right now it is. I mean, there are always going to be exceptions. We have some clients that we put in their citizenship application and we get an interview in like 6 months. We get an interview in like 5 months. But I would say about 65 to 70%, you're looking at 12 months or more, 12 to 15 months. And then the other, maybe 35% get theirs earlier. So it depends on, where your field office is, what their case processing time is, and stuff like that. Okay, let me go to Instagram. Oh my gosh, there's so many questions here. I can't even, there's so many first. Hi, Banky, welcome. Hi, Unknown Station from Florida. Work of Art says her first time. Welcome, welcome. Boo for the Boolas. Hey, Boo for the Boolas. I haven't seen you on live in a long time. So it's good to see your charming face again. Thank you for all you do. I've been patiently waiting for this moment to come. We appreciate your kindness and support. Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Do you do divorce papers. No, I'm not a family immigration lawyer. Divorce is very state specific, so you must find a divorce attorney in your state. It's not like immigration law where you can use an attorney that's in a different state, but with divorce you have to find an attorney that's within your state. One of the things that you can do is you can go on a website called avvo.com. It's called avo.com, and maybe you can type in divorce lawyers and your zip code, and then it'll present a few lawyers. I always say, when you get your lawyer, when it lists some lawyers there, you come out of Avo and go do your research on those lawyers, because Avo, to me, their ratings are not really they're not really predictable of who you're really hiring, because with Avo, it's just not, so you can go do your independent review if you select somebody on there, just to make sure that you feel like you and them will connect. Lily says, thanks for all the information. You're very welcome. Hey, Prince Hollywood from Houston. Okay, I have a very important question. A friend filed for VAWA and was denied based on insufficient documents, and she was asked by USCIS to either contest it or appeal the decision. What can she do? She can certainly appeal it. So I don't know when your friend got her denial letter, but tell her to call us up. We have a good track record for overturning and being successful in appealing VAWA cases. We've had people come to us, after the VAWA was denied. The key thing is that you come to us before the deadline to file the appeal, and then we can talk strategy and see what options that person has. Backtroop says, I got my combo card from pending VAWA adjustment of status. I want to travel outside the country now, and I heard that I have to check my alien number first to make sure. Yeah, you definitely have to check your alien number first to make sure. And you have to know your own immigration history, but you can speak with an attorney to explain what your history is, what petitions you filed, and they can also help you check just to make sure you're good to go. And, also, check, it depends on the phase you are in your application. Like I always say to my own personal clients, for instance, like if you're somebody that filed for a green card application, and you've already gone to your interview and they're taking some time and they haven't made a decision, in that instance, I don't recommend traveling outside the country, whether or not you have nothing in your EOIR, because if they deny you, then you're SOL. Okay. Let's see. Princess Osei says, when you put through your documents, how long do you get a work permit? I don't know what documents you put in, so it's different, for different cases. For instance, like with asylum cases, there's a window you have to wait before you can even put in your work permit, or U visas. But if you're specifically talking of a marriage-based case, or VAWA case, most of them, if you apply for adjustment of status and your work permit at the same time, you're looking at anywhere from about 5 to 8 or 9 months. I will say this, we've been seeing some of these come in about 4.5, 5 months in the last month and a half. So knock on wood that this is a new normal. I'm hoping that because they've done this extension for renewal of work permits, and because they've started giving this 2-year work permits, that means that there's more bandwidth, to process cases quicker, because before the pandemic it used to be 4 to 6 months. Okay, Billy Sully says, good morning, Aisha. This texts are so tiny, I don't know if it's me. Do I need glasses or something? It says, good morning, Aisha. My question is, I got to U.S. Citizen. Oh, I don't understand your question. Are you saying you got married to a U.S. citizen and I didn't commit any? Yeah, you got to re-ask your question. I can't understand what you typed in there. So this person, Christiana, says USCIS denied VAWA application because they saw the divorce paper submitted was fake, and it's not fake. Can a lawyer fight it? Well, how do we know the document is not fake? Your last name indicates that you're Nigerian. I will tell you, a lot of Nigerians are dealing with this right now. You have to make sure you have an authentic divorce decree. Like, y'all, I can't explain to you. It's very painful, going through 2 years of processing this stuff and all that it takes. Like, you're good on everything else except your divorce papers. Like, it literally means costs nothing to go do a proper divorce. So you need to do a proper divorce. There are just more fake Nigerian divorce decrees than there are legitimate ones. So you want to make sure, one thing that you know for a fact, if you don't use an attorney, you know for a fact that your divorce decree from Nigeria is in fact fake, because in Nigeria requires that you must use an attorney to do it. And if you use an attorney to do it and they're still giving you a fraudulent document, then you might want to consider filing a bar complaint in Nigeria, for your lawyer. But if you're able to prove that your divorce decree is legitimate, you can certainly file a motion to reopen to provide the new evidence showing that the divorce is in fact authentic. Again, with appeals, you have to do it within the deadline or the timeline that you're giving. My computer beeps all the time. Let's see if I mute this, if you guys can still hear me. Let me know if you guys on Facebook and YouTube can still hear me. I just had to mute my computer. I'm just getting messages from my staff and it's too loud. Gabby says, what happens if your CO9 EAD is coming up on expiration and you still don't have a decision on your VAWA case? Thank you. If it's coming up on expiration, file for a renewal. Don't wait. Like seriously, if you have about 6 months left in your EAD, you want to file a renewal application, just because EADs take more than 12 months. Like a renewal of your work permit takes more than 12 months. Granted, now they're extending the time to 540 days, as long as you file your EAD on time, but just don't waste time to file your EAD. Don't wait on them to make a decision on your case, or imagine they'll make a decision on your case. Just file for renewal. If you paid your filing fees for your 485 in the first place, you don't have to pay for the renewal. So just file your renewal. Malmex, it seems like your question has a follow-up, but I don't know where it is. Shimpi Kana, I'm not answering the question just because I don't handle employment-based immigration. I just do family-based cases. So sorry. Unknown Station says, I think people don't change. The thing that change is their situation. I think you're probably referring to the when I was talking about how somebody can say, oh, they've changed, let's get back together or something like that. Tony says, I will definitely need your help. I would love to help you. Just call us 407-995-6567. I'm just watching the time because I got to go very soon. Can you get a conditional removed if divorced after getting your temporary green card other than VAWA? Yeah, so, just to segue a little bit on conditional removals, a conditional removal is when you're removing the conditions of your green card. There are going to be some people that, as opposed to a 10-year green card, you get a 2-year green card. This typically happens if you file and at the time they approve you based on marriage, you've not been married for 2 years, or your own parent had a 2-year conditional green card. So you have a few ways to remove conditions. The first way is, of course, to remove it with your spouse. The second way is through extreme cruelty and abuse. If that's not the case, Philip, then you can also do it through divorce. With all the three options, you want to make sure that you still can show that you have a bona fide marriage. That's a legitimate marriage. So even though you have divorce, you want to still show, our marriage was legit. It's just that things didn't work out. One note that I want to mention to a lot of people who have conditional green cards. A lot of times when people have conditional green cards, they think that the battle is over. They don't need to get bona fides. They don't need to have things together. But when you're filing for removal of condition, USCIS does not want to see anything that you submitted before. So if you were approved for removal of condition in 2020, what USCIS would want to see in 2022 when you're filing is proof from between 2020, the day after you got your green card, till the date you're filing your application, that you continue to have a bona fide marriage. Okay, let's see what else I can take care. Big Dave says, thanks for everything you do. I was going through a lot, but your live stream made me have faith more. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I mean, if this lives can benefit one person, I'm grateful for that. One thing I will say that I realized, when I started practicing immigration law is that so many people don't know what options they have, and like people put themselves in those horrible situations when they're eligible for other ways, or people tell lies that don't make sense in their applications when they would have been approved otherwise. So I've really made it a mission to come and talk about this stuff, whether or not you use me. But it's like, the point of being an immigration attorney is to help people, right, to change their situation. Tony Tone, we have an office in Orlando, so like Lake Mary area, but I am in the Atlanta office. So, just as an FYI. Dinma says, are VAWA applicants exempted from working without work permit? I mean, it takes long to get approved, including the work permit also. How do I survive without my abuser? So here's what I'll say, and I said it at the beginning of this live. Whether you're a VAWA applicant, whether you're a marriage-based applicant who's filing on the basis of being married to a U.S. citizen, technically, you're not supposed to work under the table. That being said, USCIS will forgive you working under the table if you're married to a U.S. citizen, or you were married to a U.S. citizen because, one, you were married to a U.S. citizen, and I think that they're also reasonable knowing that people have to survive. And for a lot of VAWA victims, that's the only way they can get out of the relationship they're in, because there's a lot of times financial abuse in relationships that are eligible for VAWA. The only thing is, when you choose to work under the table, if you choose that, you want to make sure that you're not claiming to be a U.S. citizen on any documentation, because that will bar you from getting your green card. Booba on Facebook says, how can you remove the conditions of your green card after divorce? Call me. I'll walk you through the process and help you file for it. You have to basically request a waiver. You have to request a waiver, so usually we'll put together a legal argument of why you're entitled to that. So my number is over on this ticker, so just call me and we'll be happy to walk you through the process. Okay, this is the last question I'm going to take. Let me look for one. Okay, this is not a question. This is a comment. Let me just answer. Somebody says, it's so hard to stay here. Worse when others know your situation. We as immigrants, we get it hard. Definitely, like immigrants go through it. Immigrants go through it. And, thankfully, that's why you have laws like VAWA or U visas or T visas, because, everything else in the United States protects U.S. citizens. But it's like, well, what protects immigrants? So having these laws to know that people can't do this to you and just think because they're a U.S. citizen, they're going to get special treatment is very helpful. But the key thing is for people to know that they qualify for this stuff. And that's why I always say, share my videos, because you never know who's going through stuff. There are many people that don't share their stuff, but can watch this video. I can't tell you how many times, like, people, are in consultations and they tell me, I literally gave up on everything. And, I was trying to commit suicide. I was trying to pack my bags to go back home. Just really sad stuff. And they say, and somebody sent me your video popped up, somebody shared your video or something like that. And, they learned that there's hope, Okay. Okay, this is the last question I'm going to answer. This person says, my cousin has a pending VAWA case. He remarried a non-citizen 2 weeks ago, but wasn't aware he had to wait until his case got approved. What can he do? Nothing. He's no longer eligible for VAWA, and he is going to get denied of his green card. That really sucks. I wish your cousin watched this video before he got married. Before, like, when you have immigration stuff and you're if you want to, like, you guys have no idea how much nuances, like, and little things here that can disqualify people from immigration. It's like, if you're an LPR, if you're married to an LPR, which is a green card holder, and you want to file adjustment of status because visas are available, they're not going to forgive you for working under the table. It's not like a U.S. citizen. So it's just little things here and there. And that's why, we always say, use an attorney when you can. It's not about penny wise, pound foolish. And then I've had people who think that they have a slam dunk case, and then they come to us after it's so sloppy and like they've made all these grave mistakes, even though they have a bona fide marriage, just because they were trying to save on not using an attorney. There's a reason why we specialize in this stuff. In everything in life, you can try to do it yourself, but there's just some things that are worth going to an expert to do it, because they do it all the time and most likely have seen scenarios like yours. And personally, I just think that immigration is something that you shouldn't dabble with if you're not willing to bear the consequences of deportation, of never being eligible to get status. Because for a lot of people, being in this country is a great dream. It changes their life trajectory. It changes the ability to get a top-notch education, for their children, to travel, to build homes, to build businesses. America is built on the backbone of immigrants, right? A lot of this country, we have immigrants, including myself. I'm an immigrant too, to thank for it. So it is something that is important. And as such, it's something you should take seriously. I keep saying this is my last question, but I really got to go. This is my last question, for real. I'm trying to decide which question I should answer here. Okay, Billy, let me answer your question on Facebook. Billy says, my question is, I got married to a U.S. citizen and I did not submit an application to USCIS. We got divorced, and then I got my divorce decree, and then I got married to a different person, and now I've submitted my papers. What are my chances of getting a green card? Myself or any lawyer cannot tell you your chances of getting a green card without seeing what your petition looks like. And that is the honest to God truth. Nobody can tell you based on you asking a question, what are your chances? And even if I see all your paperwork and I say you have a good chance, immigration is truly subjective. Meaning when you go to an officer, they have to believe your marriage is legitimate. So part of what we do as attorneys is to be able to say to you, you should have X, Y, and Z, because if you have X, Y, and Z, it's going to increase your chance of reduced questioning and likelihood of approval. But ultimately, we can tell you 100%. And speaking of that, before I leave, I specifically want to address something. There was somebody that commented, I was doing something about red flags, and the person commented saying, this is why we go to white lawyers, because why are you telling us what red flags are instead of you fighting for our case or something like that? And I was just like, are you even listening to yourself? Like, the whole point of me coming here on live is telling you what you need to do to increase your chances. So if I tell you something is a red flag, would you not rather know and make sure you fix it so it's not a red flag and it's a green flag? That is advocacy. That is me telling you what to do. Like, why would you want to make your process harder if it can be easier? I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but basically the person thought that I shouldn't be saying all the things that could potentially cause your cases to be denied. But I'm giving you all the tea. I'm giving you guys the hookup. Listen, I do interviews every single week, several interviews every week. I know what they're looking for. I've been an attorney for 17 years. So if I'm telling you these are the things that you should do to get yourself successful, you should look at it that this person is helping me. None of you guys are here on live. I'm not collecting a penny from you guys. You're not entitled to anything, but I'm choosing to give you that. So, when people make comments like that, it makes me, decide, should I even be doing this live? Because these people clearly don't want the help. But, if I'm telling you something, I'm telling you because I know my results speak for themselves. My clients can tell you, what it is that they get out of it. Because at the end of the day, I don't have to talk because I produce, because to me, it's not about producing a work permit. It's not about producing a travel permit. At the end of the day, my goal is to get every single person that steps into my office a green card and citizenship ultimately. That is my goal. I can't speak for any other person, but that is my own personal goal. So guys, on that note, I really have to go. I will be on live on Tuesday, chatting it up. If you guys want particular topics that you want me to talk about, I'm going to do a post where I'm going to say what topics you want to hear during live. And then you can just put some comments in there of what you want me to talk about. And then I'll try and talk about that. All right, guys, have a lovely weekend. And I'll catch you next